You've had implants in your cheeks.
Oh, God.
You've had a dimple made in your chin.
Please,
You've had your lips enlarged.
Oh, please.
You've had your eyelids reconstructed. Eyelids reconstructed.
It's stupid.
None of it's true.
None of it's true. None of it's true. It's BS. They made it up. They lie. They don't want to give me credit for anything. One paper said I had because I was growing a little beard, he had each little hair transplanted into his face with a lasered in. How ignorant is that? I can't even grow a beard now? You ignorant fool who wrote such a thing.
There's nothing I can do to take it back. And if someone was hurt by it, saying I'm sorry.
The world froze on June 25th, 2009. The day Michael Jackson, the king of pop, was pronounced gone forever. Fans cried, tributes lit up the globe, and his legacy felt set in stone. But what if the story we've believed for more than a decade isn't the full truth? What if Michael never really left? This week, a shaky phone video exploded online, grainy, raw, but impossible to ignore. A man in a black fedora, head low, voice soft yet chillingly familiar, whispered, "I told you I'd come back when the time was right." Within hours, the clip spread like wildfire, and suddenly, fans were convinced Michael Jackson is alive.
One person I believe in Hollywood who people conspired to actually take down because he had too much power, and I believe that person was Michael Jackson. The reason I believe that is because you can look into the story. Paul McCartney and Michael used to be real cool. Paul was telling Michael, like, yo, you got to get your business together. You got to get your business right. Michael ended up getting so big that he bought the Beatles publishing. The Beatles publishing was worth so much that literally Sony gave Michael Jackson half of their publishing company just to own the Beatles catalog. Imagine how powerful a black man is when he owns our majority of the music industry's publishing. In some cases, was even giving publishing back to some of the artists. He gave Little Richard his publishing back. I don't know how many people he did that to, but he gave Little Richard his publishing back. I believe that Michael Jackson had too much power in the music industry, had too much control over the most valuable asset in music, which is people's publishing, and I believe they had to take him out because of it.
But the shock didn't stop there. Whispers quickly morphed into something darker, pointing straight at one of the most powerful men in music today, JayZ. Insiders claim his empire is trembling, secrets hovering on the edge of exposure. Once dismissed as casual industry ties, the connections between Michael and JayZ are now under a burning spotlight. What did Michael know before he vanished? And why is JayZ's name suddenly tied to the most unbelievable comeback the world has ever seen? Fans are stunned, insiders are panicking, and emotions are boiling over. This isn't just some comeback, it feels like a reckoning. And tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on all of it. The whispers began quietly, almost like jokes traded in dark fan forums and late-night conspiracy podcasts.
And I'm not saying allegedly.
Oh.
I'm saying, Sean Carter, you're a piece of shit. Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough. You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real gangster in Houston.
People had always claimed to spot Michael alive, sneaking through airports, eating at diners, strolling crowded streets in scarves and shades. But this time felt different. This time it wasn't gossip, it was video proof. And in that clip, the man wasn't running or hiding. He was staring into the camera and speaking directly. At first, many brushed it off. Deep fake, they said, or maybe just a lookalike, an impersonator hungry for fame. But then came the details, the little things that made people freeze mid-scroll. The voice wasn't just close, it carried that same fragile cadence, that almost trembling softness, the sound the world thought it would never hear again. The way he tilted his head, the way his gloved hand slid across his cheek, it was classic Michael. These weren't moves a random impersonator could fake. They were mannerisms carved into the world's memory, instantly recognizable.
The first original public clones was Michael Jackson.
What?
Yes. So if you take a look at Michael Jackson, right? Oh, he had plastic surgery. This is why they're making plastic surgery really popular, quote unquote, because they can basically deduce, oh, the celebrity had plastic surgery. It's not a clone, it's plastic surgery. That's why they look different, right? So Michael Jackson was their first sort of test run for cloning. And specifically the reason why they replaced him with a clone was because he was saying too much.
He was, right?
He was against the system. He was talking, out of bounds, quote unquote, because they couldn't control him anymore. And he wanted to wake people up. So they kicked him off. They replaced him with a clone. And that's why his skin got whiter. That's why his face got more gaunt.
Within days, the video had burst beyond fan circles and crashed into mainstream conversation. Hashtags went wild. News anchors stumbled on their scripts, unsure if they were reporting fact or fantasy. Suddenly, the impossible didn't seem so impossible anymore. Could Michael Jackson really be alive? The shock was massive, but beneath all the hysteria lurked a darker question. If Michael had been hiding all these years, who helped him disappear? And even scarier, why now? Why return after more than a decade in the shadows? The first name tossed under the spotlight was JayZ. At first, it felt ridiculous. A rap mogul tied to Michael's disappearance? Laughable, or so it seemed. But the deeper journalists dug, the stranger the connections got. Rumors swirled of secret meetings in the early 2000s. Whispers claimed Michael confided in JayZ, saying he was being watched, manipulated, used by the very machine he helped build.
There are people who did short sales on their stocks right after that, made a lot of money, including Sean Carter. Now I'm going to ask you, why would non-disclosure agreements need to be signed for an accident?
One insider remembered Michael warning, "They think they own me, but I know too much," a haunting phrase, one easy to ignore. Until that grainy video reopened the wound the world thought had healed. Then came the bombshell. People close to JayZ said he'd been acting nervous, pulling out of appearances, canceling meetings, no explanations given. One staffer swore they overheard him muttering, "If he's really back, I'm finished." Suddenly, the pieces didn't look random anymore. They were forming a picture too bold to dismiss. Michael's reappearance wasn't about fame or some grand stage comeback. It was about secrets. Secrets so dangerous, they had one of the most powerful men in music visibly rattled.
As you may already know, after my tour ended, I remain out of the country undergoing treatment for a dependency on pain medication. This medication was initially prescribed to see the excruciating pain that I was suffering after recent reconstructive surgery on my scalp.
The tension grew as fans began unearthing old interviews. In one, Michael called the music business a conspiracy, a machine built on control. In another, he hinted at betrayals from people he once called friends. Could JayZ have been one of those names hidden between the lines? That's when the fire really caught. Fans split down the middle, some sobbing with joy at the idea their idol had returned, others outraged and demanding answers, furious at the thought of lies this big being buried for so long. They had mourned a man who might never have been gone, and while fans cried tears of joy, others warned that Michael's return wasn't just shocking, it was dangerous. A comeback this massive could unleash chaos far beyond music or fame. The Jackson family felt the earthquake too. Insiders said phones were buzzing nonstop, with Janet demanding answers and Jermaine admitting he had seen things over the years that didn't add up. The family was split, some ready to embrace the miracle, others terrified of the truths it might expose. And right in the center of the storm stood JayZ, silent. That silence was deafening.
JayZ got his ass whooped by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Solange. You got his ass. The feds ain't step in and do nothing. The feds don't care about you getting your ass whooped.
Whispers spread that he was quietly lawyering up, scrambling his team, maybe even prepping a statement. But nothing came. No words, no denial, nothing at all. And the longer he stayed quiet, the stronger the suspicion grew. Maybe he had something big to hide. Then came the bombshell. A former associate of Michael, speaking anonymously, confessed during a late-night interview. Michael trusted Jay. He trusted him with things he never told anyone else. But that trust was broken. And if Michael truly was back, those broken promises could come crashing down now. The weight of that warning hung heavy, like a storm cloud ready to burst. Suddenly, This wasn't just about whether Michael Jackson had faked his death. It was about betrayal, power, and secrets strong enough to rattle the entire music industry. And just when people thought it couldn't get wilder, something even stranger surfaced. New footage. This time it wasn't blurry, it wasn't shaky, it was crystal clear. Michael Jackson.
It's a lot more complicated than just Dr. Murray was at his bedside when he did. Circumstances had been leading up to this for years.
Older, weathered, but absolutely unmistakable, sitting in a dimly lit room. His voice steady, his eyes locked on the camera as he declared, "They thought I was gone, but I've been here, watching, waiting. It is time. People know the truth." Those words hit like a thunderclap. Within minutes, the internet melted down, fans screaming, skeptics stunned, and the entire world asking one question: what truth is Michael about to unleash? The clip cut off before he could reveal more, but the damage was already done. The king of pop had spoken, and the world was hanging on every word. Within minutes, Michael's name trended worldwide, right alongside JayZ's. Memes flooded feeds, captions screaming Michael's back and Jay's sweating. But not everyone was laughing. Many were furious. They demanded investigations, confessions, and answers. Then came another shocker. A mysterious document surfaced, unsigned but dated the very year Michael supposedly died. On it was a list of heavyweights, producers, executives, industry titans, and near the bottom sat one name that made the world gasp. Sean Carter, better known as JayZ. Real or fake didn't matter anymore. Perception became reality.
Is it really a conspiracy if the same person keeps benefiting off the same kind of tragedy over and over?
And in the court of public opinion, JayZ was already branded as a man carrying secrets too explosive to stay buried. The atmosphere was electric, tense, like the air before a storm finally snaps. Michael's reappearance had flipped the script on everything people thought they knew. And in the middle of it all, JayZ's empire started to shake. But if anyone thought this was the grand finale, they were dead wrong, because more voices were stepping up, more puzzle pieces were clicking into place, and the story was about to twist in ways no one could have predicted. The days that followed didn't feel like news. They felt like a live spectacle unraveling in real time. Michael's video looped non-stop across every platform, dissected frame by frame. Fans noticed everything: the faint lines of age, the thinning hair, the sadness flickering in his eyes. But all those details faded compared to the weight of his words. It's time people know the truth. Those 7 words became a rallying cry. Millions took to Twitter and Instagram demanding answers. Some swore Michael was calling out the music industry itself, a reckoning for the corruption, control, and exploitation he had warned about long before his death. Before his supposed death, some believed Michael's pain was rooted in something far more personal: betrayals by people he once trusted. And now, those same people seem to be scrambling to keep him quiet.
And when you see, there's no artist, let me be clear, there's no artist in this industry that's doing major numbers with these platforms that haven't sold their soul.
JayZ's silence was deafening. The rap mogul, usually quick to shape his narrative, had canceled appearances, postponed interviews, and even skipped a high-profile gala where he was scheduled to speak. Insiders whispered he hadn't stepped outside his mansion in days. One anonymous source claimed he looks terrified, like a man waiting for the ground to collapse beneath him. And then came the storm around the document, the list of names supposedly written by Michael himself before his disappearance. Bloggers, journalists, and YouTube sleuths picked it apart, mapping the connections between every name in the industry's darkest scandals. And sitting near the bottom was JayZ. That single detail was enough to set the internet ablaze. Fans began revisiting old footage of Michael and Jay together, hunting for signs of tension. One resurfaced clip from the early 2000s showed Michael sitting stiffly beside Jay at a press event. His smile tight, his body language cold. Back then, no one noticed. Now, it looked like betrayal hiding in plain sight. The Jackson family stayed mostly quiet, but cracks began to show. Janet posted a cryptic message online. The truth always finds its way back. Fans lost their minds. convinced she was confirming her brother's survival. Meanwhile, Jermaine was caught outside his home looking rattled, telling reporters, "I can't talk about this. Not now." Behind the curtain, Hollywood was in panic mode. Executives who once mocked the conspiracy were suddenly scrambling to protect themselves. Producers and label heads feared what Michael might say if he truly returned. One insider didn't hold back. "If he starts naming names, careers will end overnight." And then came the second clip, longer, clearer, and even more chilling. Michael leaned forward in the same dimly lit room, his expression grim. "They betrayed me," he whispered. "People I trusted, people I called friends. They thought they could bury me, but I never left." The internet went nuclear. Fans cried, influencers posted reaction videos, and even mainstream outlets were forced to admit this footage was too real, too convincing, and impossible to ignore. But what really froze the world wasn't just Michael's words, it was what he said next. "I trusted Jay. I told him things I never told anyone else, and he sold me out." The silence after that line was deafening. The clip cut off instantly, but the damage was done. Michael Jackson had directly called out JayZ as one of the people who betrayed him. Jay's empire shook overnight. Blogs accused him of everything, manipulating Michael's contracts, orchestrating his disappearance, even plotting to erase him from the industry. Memes went wild, labeling him the man who broke the king of pop. Fans stormed his social media, demanding answers, demanding truth. And then, Beyoncé's name got dragged into the chaos. Tabloids speculated nonstop. Was she furious? Was she standing by him? One so-called insider claimed she's telling him to get ahead of this, to speak now. But he's frozen. He doesn't know what to say, because he doesn't know what Michael has. The betrayal narrative only deepened when alleged letters from Michael leaked to the press. In one, he wrote, "I can't trust anyone. Even the ones who smile at me in public have knives behind their backs." In another, "The industry wants me gone because I know too much, and some of my own friends are helping them." Whether the letters were authentic or fake didn't even matter anymore. The timing was perfect, and the world was ready to believe. The more people read, the more they turned on JayZ. Fans split between heartbreak and fury. Some mourned all over again, saying, "We grieved his death, and now we find out he was betrayed." It's too much. Others demanded justice, insisting Jay had to face consequences. The storm spread beyond fans. Celebrities, producers, even politicians jumped in. One senator tweeted, "If these allegations about Michael Jackson's disappearance are true, we need answers." And still, Jay stayed silent. Every hour he refused to speak only poured gasoline on the fire. Memes of him sweating, side-eyeing, dodging questions filled every timeline. But the biggest twist, a third video dropped, and this one would take everything to a whole new level. Michael appeared again, his face carrying that same grim intensity. He leaned in and declared, "This isn't just about me. This is about everyone they've silenced, and I won't be quiet anymore." Those words hit like a hammer. Fans cried, critics gasped, and suddenly JayZ's silence no longer looked like strategy. It looked like fear. But even in the chaos, something darker loomed. If Michael was truly alive, and if Jay had truly betrayed him, then the question wasn't just about the past. It was about what would happen next. Rumors turned into wildfire as the third video tore through the internet, spreading faster than anyone could control. Fans weren't just shocked anymore, they were mobilized. Protesters gathered outside Roc Nation's headquarters in New York, holding posters that read "Justice for Michael" and "Jay betrayed MJ." Clips of the chanting crowds exploded online, fueling a movement that felt unstoppable. The uproar grew so massive that even mainstream anchors, who once mocked the "Michael is alive" theory, were now asking pointed questions live on air. Behind closed doors, the industry was in meltdown. Whispers of late-night meetings leaked out. Executives were holding emergency calls, terrified of which skeletons might tumble out if Michael chose to speak. Insiders said lawyers were digging up old contracts, dusting off NDAs, bracing for the worst. One source muttered, "If Michael really talks, we'll see careers burned to ash by sunrise." Meanwhile, JayZ was crumbling under the pressure. Paparazzi camped outside his mansion, snapping shots of his car slipping in and out of the driveway. Neighbors claimed he barely slept, pacing the halls, phone glued to his ear. A tabloid even published an anonymous quote from someone close to him. "He's unraveling." It's the first time I've seen him truly scared. And then came the detail that shook fans even harder: Beyoncé's silence. Usually quick to defend her family with carefully crafted posts, this time she vanished. No Instagram captions, no cryptic tweets, not even staged paparazzi shots. Nothing. The queen had gone completely quiet, and that silence was louder than words. Her silence only fueled the fire. Speculation exploded that Beyoncé was pulling away, distancing herself from Jay's storm before it dragged them both under. But then came the most chilling revelation yet: an alleged audio leak. A distorted recording surfaced online, capturing two male voices locked in a heated argument. One was unmistakably Michael, soft but steady. The other, fans swore, was JayZ. "You promised me," Michael's voice quivered. "You said you'd keep it safe." The other voice shot back, strained and urgent. "I had no choice. They were coming for me too. You don't understand the kind of power we're up against." The clip cut off there, but the shockwaves were instant. If real, it proved Michael and Jay had once shared a fragile alliance, only for Jay to break it, handing over secrets to the very forces Michael feared. The internet detonated. Hashtags trended worldwide. Celebrities dropped cryptic tweets, and even some of Michael's former collaborators cautiously chimed in. One producer tweeted simply, "We always knew there was more to the story." The frenzy grew so intense that the Jackson family could no longer stay silent. Janet appeared in a shaky live stream, her voice raw with emotion. "My brother suffered more than people will ever know. He trusted people who didn't deserve it. I can't say more right now, but believe me, the truth will come." Her words cracked the dam wide open. Fans dug deeper, pulling old interviews and dissecting every frame where Michael hinted at betrayal. Clips of him saying, "Some of my friends aren't really my friends," were reborn as evidence, replayed millions of times across social feeds. Meanwhile, Jay tried to push back, quietly feeding stories to friendly outlets painting Michael as paranoid, unstable. But the timing was all wrong. Fans weren't buying it. Not after the videos, not after the audio. Instead, it only made Jay look guiltier, like a man scrambling to rewrite history before the walls closed in. And then came the twist that sent shockwaves through the industry. A respected journalist claimed Michael had contacted her directly. She refused to reveal details but hinted she was preparing a massive expose. "If what I've seen is true," she teased, "the music industry will never be the same." Panic spread instantly. Festival organizers quietly dropped Jay from lineups. Brand deals froze, and whispers swirled that Netflix had axed an upcoming documentary tied to him. Terrified of being caught in the storm, the empire that once looked untouchable now stood on shaking ground, all because of a voice the world thought it had lost forever. And this story, it's only getting started. If you want more shocking truths and Hollywood secrets they don't want you to hear, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share this video, and I'll see you on the next one.